Here in my office. Not much to look at, but what I've gotten into recently is E30. So I'm doing the E30 blend with my car. I do have stage 2 cams in there, custom grind, and I've been screwing around with the E30 blend. Assuming it's actually an E35 blend, assuming 5% ethanol in the regular fuel, where they say up to 10% in the 93 or the 87, the regular gas, they say up to 10%. So cutting that in half and just hitting an average, I calculate 5%. So 5% with a 30% E85 is a 35% E-tune or E35 blend. It's kicked my ass recently because the storage, so gasoline storage is 14.7 to 1. So 14.7 units of air to 1 fuel, where E85 storage is, I believe, 9.8 or 9.7. And being that most widebands read in AFR, or most widebands read in lambda. So lambda, 14.7, and lambda is just 1. So you guys you'd have to read up quite a bit on this shit, and it does get confusing. But yeah, lambda 14.7, AFR for the gasoline lambda would be 1, obviously. But it does translate to E85. So what I've done, without getting too far into it, I've actually I've gone in, I've richened up my fuel, my high tables, my low tables. I've added some ignition. I've added ignition timing to the low and high tables. You can see it all in there. Boom. Actually, I lowered my VTEC a hair, down to 48, and I've actually lowered my my red line, my limiter, to 72, where it was set at 74, 75 before. I was revving out to 72-ish. Now I'm gonna rev out to 7 grand, because it was feeling with these cams. So I have stock springs in there. And it felt like I was getting valve float around 7 grand, because it felt like it just hit a brick wall right around 7 grand. So I don't want to take it above that. It pulls hard all the way up to 7, and then it feels like it kind of hits a brick wall. So I'm like, fuck. And I assume that I'm probably getting valve float from the additional lift and additional duration. Mostly the additional lift. At that RPM, I'm probably getting valve float where the spring is not closing the valve fully, it's staying open and it's just sitting there. So that's why I'm only revving out to 7, but I set it out to 72. I have my shift light at 7, but I set the rev limiter out to 72 so I don't bounce off the rev limiter when I'm on nitrous, because obviously ignition cut and then coming back on suddenly while injecting nitrous is not a good thing. You never want to bounce off the rev limiter when spraying nitrous. So to avoid that, I set my rev limiter out further than where I'm actually shifting. So it gives me a little room to rev over where I'm revving at. But anyways, guys, this is just a little update. I mean, I haven't been doing any videos, if anybody even fucking cares. But I had some things happen. My dog died after 7-8 years. He was a Great Dane, but he got really sick really quick, man, so things kind of took a backseat there. And then I've been getting parts in, so I've been slowly getting all these freaking parts in. So everything highlighted, I got 3/8 exhaust piping, 2.5-inch charge piping, and this is just the fucking list of everything that I needed to get. And I'm pretty much there. This is like a little tally up of how much everything costs. So whenever everything's done, I'll give you guys a quick little overview of what it costs to do a custom turbo kit, on the low, because my turbo was not top of the line precision ball bearing. It's a general bearing, Turbonetic 6968. But yeah, this is where I'm at right now. I'm on E30. So getting back to the E30 blend, it gets confusing because the storages for E85 is a 9.8, 9.7, like I said. But then what you have to remember, I'm not at full E85, I'm at E30. So it fucking throws everything off. It's like, what? It's like, what the fuck is the storage then? If I'm 30% ethanol, or if I'm 35% ethanol, and the rest gasoline, so I'm an E35 blend, I'm not an E85. It fucking threw shit off. And but like I said, the widebands read lambda, so they take the lambda and then they do a calculation and then they throw out the air fuel ratio. So that's what you're seeing on a gauge. Is actually the O2 sensor actually reads lambda and then it does a calculation and it throws out the air fuel ratio. So with that said, you can actually run off the air fuel ratio, because if it reads 14.7 to 1, that's 1 lambda. So it still means that you are running exactly where you need to be, except E85 storage, instead of 14.7, when it reads 14.7, it would actually be 9.8 or 9.1 in E85. If that makes sense. Like I said, it kicked my ass for a while. I was up to like 2 o'clock fucking reading all this shit, and I'm like, what is it talking about? Finally, I said, fucking, I just put it down and came back to it today and started making more sense. But yeah, so, I mean, if it says 14.5, so what you do, the calculation for that is, all right, say you're running all out, you're at wide open throttle at 12.8. This is normally my target air fuel for 93 octane. 12.8, you would multiply that by 0.66, and this would give you the E85 target, which is 8.44, which I believe is good. I believe 7.1 to 8.5. So let me see here. Sorry guys, bear with me here. Okay, so the max power, I don't know if you can see this. So E85 storage, 9.7 is regular driving. So 9.7 is where you want to be. So 9.7, 14.7 times 0.66, 9.7. So you see what happened there? So 14.7 times 0.66 will bring you to 9.7. So basically, if the wideband is reading 14.7, your storage for E85 is going to be 9.7. So that will be regular driving. So you see how you can still tune for it, because if it says 14.7, you're right on the E85 storage where you want to be for normal driving. Now the max power rich will be 6.9, so nearly 7. So you can obviously you see the difference there. So storage would be 9.7, which would be 14.7. Where's a better? I had that list here. Here it is. That's not it. All right, here it is. That's the better list right there. So you got 14.5 is 9.6, 15. So you know, if your wideband says 15.5, you're really running at 10.3, which is a little high for the E85. But once again, I'm not running full E85, I'm running E30. So it gets quite confusing. But what I was getting at before is I was running, the car was running, it was calculating correctly. I had the fuel trims operating correctly because I didn't go back and I didn't adjust anything there. So I just let the computer do it with trimming, which isn't ideal. You would prefer to go back in your fuel logs or your fuel tables and actually tune it for it. But if you're lazy like me and you're not 100% sure what you're doing, throw it into the trim, into the closed loop trim, and it will calibrate it for you in closed loop. But in open loop, I went back into the tables because you have to tune it in the open when driving open. You have to tune those tables. So I went in and I added 12% fuel to wide open throttle, and then I added 13% more timing. So I'm running around 29, 30, 31 degrees of timing, which is a lot. I would be knocking like crazy if I was still on 93. But alright guys, this was the update. Just wanted to let you know what's going on. Things are a little slow, but turbo build will be coming soon. Alright, thumbs up, subscribe, peace out.